Hi, it's Jasmin. You know, that girl who did you know what way before the internet ever existed. Join me and my special guest every week as we talk about anything and everything because nothing is too taboo. So punch your ticket and get on board the Krazy train with me, Jasmin St. Clair. All aboard!
Voila. You see, thank you so much for joining me today. You look great, though. Like you haven't aged since ECW wrestling. Like that's the honest truth.
Well, I appreciate that. You look very good, too. And I do appreciate that. And we both look good. We're both very lucky, I think.
I know. It's insane. Like, have you seen a lot of the wrestling that's been going on lately on TV or just in general?
Yeah. I follow it. You know, I watch it through different eyes. Same eyes as probably you. You know, we watch it differently. I like to watch certain people, you know, so I like to see what's going on. You know, I'm always going to do that. I'm a fan. That's why I'm in this business, you know, and that's why, you know, that's what you want to do. So yeah, I follow what's going on. I watch certain people that I know from the independents that I'm very proud of them. They're in NXT, they're whatever, MLW, everywhere, AEW. You know, and I'm happy for people, you know, and I check out the product. I always will. And I do it as long as I could, you know, when I can't do it no more, I can't do it no more.
Yeah, I don't know. I get really scared because I work with the Deathmatch Wrestling company and death matches now versus like what we were doing like hardcore back then. It seriously is like a death match. Have you seen any deathmatch wrestling as of late? And did you ever think wrestling would go this far?
Well, you know what? I haven't seen anything as of late. You know, I've seen, you know, all the CZW did a bunch of stuff and stuff like that, some Japan stuff. But honestly, recently, and this is, I'm talking a while ago with CZW too. I have not seen what they're doing now. I don't know what they're doing. I think it's crazy. I always thought it was crazy then. Nothing against it. I respect the guys. I mean, they got more balls than I got. You know, that's not just those matches are not for me, but that to each their own. You know, that's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. You know, but I wish them luck. I just, you know, it's just crazy, and you're involved in it.
Yeah, it's like you go home, you don't know whose blood is on you. And then like 3 days later, I was shampooing my hair today at the hair salon and the girl's like shampooing my hair and just blood coming out of it. She's like, did you cut your head? I'm like, no, it's a long story. Like I can't explain it to you because you just won't understand. You're a civilian. So yeah, you don't get
not in a half hour. I don't have to explain this life.
Well, I don't know. It's scary because like I didn't shampoo my hair since I think Saturday. So I think it really needed it.
So what company is that? Because I'll follow it.
XPW Wrestling.
Oh, I know it. Oh, I know that because I see advertisements and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that XPW from way back when? They brought it back. Okay. See, I don't see too much online, but I have seen it with your with a picture of you. So what is that all about now? What is that?
It's death matches. It's fun, but I mean, these guys. I mean,
who's running it?
It's Rob Black that's running it. It's Rob Black that's running. Yeah, it's Rob Black 2.0.
Okay, we want to talk about going back in time. That's ECW time because basically ECW closed down, and then you know XPW opened up. You know CZW opened up, or I think they were open already, but you know they were definitely open. But yeah. Okay, wow. I didn't know that was actually. I didn't know that was all the same people behind that. All right, well, good for you. Good for you with that.
Yeah, it's been fun so far. I remember working for MLW like the first couple of shows when Court started it, and you're an MLW now. Tell us about that. I see that you have a new tag team partner and this whole thing. It looks cool, by the way.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm actually having fun. You know, they called me last year to do the Battle Riot, which I did. And it was just like, you know, one and done, and that was it. Then they called me and they asked me if I wanted to come back and do a couple more shows. You know, and the locker room was really cool and stuff, you know. So, and I know a lot of the guys anyway. So I was, you know, I thought it was fine. And, you know, I said, okay. And then I went and did a couple more for them. And then, you know, they reached out again. And then they were asking me if, you know, maybe bring back the FBI. I mean, I got to give it to them. They thought of it. You know, it was their idea. They said, well, you know, bring back maybe a partner. And, you know, I said, yeah, so whatever you guys want to do, you know. And then I knew who Ray Jazz was already. They were already thinking of Ray Jazz. And, you know, Ray Jazz, I think, is great. You know, he's ranked number 7th in the country in like college, collegiate, and amateur wrestling, you know. And I believe he's going to be a star one day. He's going to be way beyond me. He's going to leave me. But I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah, hopefully he's having fun. And hopefully MLW is, you know, happy with us for now. And, we'll see where it takes us. Whatever. Nothing lasts forever. I know that. So we'll see what happens. But I am having fun there. It's a good place to be. Nice people, and we'll see what happens.
What do you think is one of the things you miss the most about, I guess, wrestling as much as you did at one point? If there is anything you really miss.
Well, no, there's definitely a lot I miss. The simple things, and I still could fly out, not a lot, but a good amount, which I hate doing, but I miss when it was back in the day before all the craziness and stuff like that. It was so, I've been flying since 94, going to Japan for UWFI. So I was only like 24, 25 years old. We were doing that every 3 weeks. And then, of course, then ECW, then WWE. And then, traveling got hard with 9/11 and then, and all this other crazy stuff going on the world and around the world. But one of the things I actually do miss sometimes would be the traveling and the camaraderie of everybody hanging out and together, but not so much traveling every day on the plane, which, sometimes that's what's done. You're going from country to country and stuff like that. But, and I miss the guys. What's scary is, I worked there for like 8 straight years. I'm with these people, at one point, probably 260, 70 days a year. Maybe towards the end, I was on the road maybe 170 days a year. And then all of a sudden, one day you go home and then it's all, they cut ties with you and it's all over. And all these people that you've been living with, like we always say, you see them more than your family. 100% true when you're on the road full time. That's just the way it is. And then that family's taken away from you. So, that's something also to the younger guys you got to know, but you might make it someday and, someday, it could get taken away, and it does suck, but life goes on. Nothing you could do, So I miss a lot of little things, not just in the ring, the brotherhood, all that kind of stuff, So, and exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I just think the worst part of it is when you have some kind of a friendship with these people over the years, and then they pass away. Like that's the sad part of anything in life. Really.
Yeah, that happens too. I've had a lot. Yeah. I've had a lot of those, and most of them, Spicoli, we're going way back to ECW, and so many more. I don't want to start naming names and bring it down, and those are brothers you're never going to see again. Those are not. It's not like you lose your job. I still keep in contact with certain guys through the phone, very limited, but it's been a long time, But unfortunately, the guys that pass away, you're never going to see them again, no matter where you are. You're never going to catch up with those guys. So, but the business is a crazy place. It's a crazy place, but you know what? I love it. I always loved it. I watched it since I was 10 years old. My father used to take me to Madison Square Garden and stuff like that, right? Well, every Monday night or every other Monday night because it was on MSG every other month. So I was able to watch it there, and then he would always take me. So I'm a lifelong fan. I live a good dream, and it's still going, believe it or not. I don't know how, but it is.
Yeah, you're lucky. What is it like? What's the secret? I'm sure a lot of people ask you, what is the secret to you still being able to get up there in the ring and go with the young guys? Because you could go. I know that you have an amazing athletic ability.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I appreciate that. I do take it easy. I appreciate what you're saying, but I and a lot of times when I wrestle, a lot of these guys are very respectful, and they know I've been doing it a while, and I have a few nagging injuries, and I do got to be careful. I do have a regular gig that goes on outside of this that pays all my bills right now. I enjoy wrestling. I like getting in the ring. Getting in the ring helps me want to look good. I still go to the gym. I'm still tanning. It gives me something. But as far as going with the other guys, like I said, I watch NXT and I watch AEW and I watch obviously MLW. Sometimes I watch those guys and I'm like, oh man, no, because I don't want to slow them down. But there's just certain things I can't do anymore. So everybody's very good with placing me in and my suggestions, other suggestions on what good for me and what I can do and stuff like that. But I do watch some of those matches and some of these other shows, and I'm like, wow, it's amazing. I'm like, how do they do it? And it's so funny because I'm sure other people used to say the same thing about us back in like ECW, but it's just, look, that's what it is. It's just the business. And in 20, 30 years from now, all the other guys that are starting on TV now are going to be doing the same thing,
Yeah.
So wrestling always, even like guys like Tito Santana, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, in wrestling, it seems like guys could stay around. Fans always appreciate them. Yeah, the longer you're out of it, the less you're doing in the ring, but the fans don't care. They're just happy they're seeing you. maybe seeing your one or two big moves for that night, you know. And I'm going back to like when you're wrestling in your 60s and 70s, people are still doing it nowadays.
Yeah, I think so, right? I don't know. I go enough to
I see Tony Atlas out there. I
Tony
see Tony.
Atlas is wrestling still?
Yeah. I see him in certain shows, far in between. Or even if I'm not on the show, I'll see his name on the poster. Tito Santana, very limited, but they'll do something. They'll get involved, mostly conventions. So yeah, I see a couple of guys out and about.
Yeah, I think it's some kind of a drug for some people. Like it's just in you and you just have to keep going and going and getting more and more and just keep going into the ring because it is a special type of drug for some of us. What even drew you to wrestling? What made you decide, hey, one day I want to get up and do that?
I mean, I think we all have that same story. Like I said, me growing up since I was 10 years, I was in, let me see, I was it was 19, first time I went to the guard, it was 1982 or 83. I think like Pedro Morales was feuding with Don Morocco. I used to watch it on Channel 9. I don't know why I started watching wrestling at such a young age. I always did. I never used to want to be a wrestler, but I used to stay up late like a lot of kids and hide from their father because it used to be on at midnight back then, Channel 9, you know. Not that I watched wrestling, they didn't mind it, you know, and my parents were very supportive. And like I said, they started taking me to matches and stuff. And then I wrestled in high school and, you know, all through, I always wanted to be a pro wrestler, but I never knew, I'm like, how would I ever get involved? Because back then in the 90s, there was no internet. There was no, you know, you had to actually know somebody to tell you about a wrestling school. Now you hit two buttons, 1,000 schools can show up. It's, you know, it's just the way it is. But so back then, I always wanted to be a wrestler. And I was captain of my wrestling team in high school. And the coach sent us to Stroudsburg wrestling camp. And everybody in my grade also knew I was a huge professional wrestling fan all my life. You know, I was coached. I remember wrestling, dragged some of them down there with my parents going to shows. And somebody came to me and said, oh, there's a professional wrestler on the third floor. He's an amateur wrestling coach. I said, who? So they're like, oh, the Executioner. So now, at the time, I didn't realize that there was 1,000 executioners and there's 1 million people under that mask. And I'm like, I know who that is because I see the Executioner in WWE. Of course, as a little kid, I was thinking it was the same guy, not realizing they could use a different guy under the mask. So, you know, he wasn't the guy I was actually probably seeing. Anyway, I went and I met him. And he said, oh, well, you're still in high school. He goes, this was Jerry Fazio, actually. And he said, you know, when you graduate this year, because I was a senior, so it was the summer wrestling camp. He goes, give me a call and we'll talk. And I called him and he brought me up to Mike Masters and Gino Caruso wrestling school in Parsippany, New Jersey. And that's where I started with him, Kodiak Bear. And that was it. It just kind of happened in a way. I met somebody, not, you know, and if I didn't go to wrestling camp that year, I probably would have never met him. And it's because the coach made us go. Wasn't like I went on my own. It was summer. I was a senior. I'm like, I just wanted to get the season over with, you know. I wasn't I want to go to camp, wrestling camp, especially at the time, you know. But if I didn't go, I wouldn't have met him, and my whole career probably would have been totally different. I may have gotten into business years and years later, but it would have been a different track. You know, it wouldn't have been the same, I don't think.
What do you think you would have ended up doing if you didn't meet him? Like, what other things did you want to be possibly growing up, like a slaughterhouse chief or like, I don't know, a chef?
You know, I honestly, I don't have anything because, you know, I didn't right out of high school. Like I said, I met him in high school. I didn't have plans. Like I knew I wasn't a good college guy. I wasn't great in school. I mean, I passed everything. Don't get me wrong. I got a high school diploma. I wasn't looking to go to college, especially back then. At that time too, you didn't realize that nowadays you need those papers, whether you could be great at the job or not. The worst guy in the world could have the papers and get the job. Meanwhile, the better guy can't get the papers, but he can do a better job. That's the way the world is. You need a high school, you need a diploma, not a diploma. You need a college education nowadays. But I didn't know, like, I didn't have any plans of going to college. And then this happened. And then I ended up going to the wrestling school. And at that time, I was working at my friend's bar, bartending. I was making some money. I was doing that. I was working at a pizzeria. I had a few things going on, you know, to pay for the wrestling school too. But I really didn't have any plans. So it's not like I said, oh, I'm going to be an electrician. And then wrestling came along, you know. I didn't have a plan. It's just kind of like I started doing this training right out of high school. I was only 19. It was either I did this or I don't do this, go to college, and that would have stalled 4 or 5 years. And a lot happened. And from 92 when I got involved until 98, say, you know, if I lost that 5 years to go to school, that was all ECW, being at ECW, my Japan thing, you know, which set me off to meet Paul Heyman and a bunch of people that help with WWE. So, I mean, it worked out. Things worked out now, but nowadays, go to school. Even though you do the WWE, wherever you go, get an education, just like Rob Eccles. And I'm sure hundreds of others have educations too. But Rob, is a perfect example. I remember when before he was even in TNA, I think he was teaching at that time, and he was going to quit his job and be, he wanted to be, to do the wrestling. And I was already out of WWE at that time, and I'm like, bro, you got a great job. So I knew the business, but you know what? At least he has the backup. He has that and end up, he went to TNA and now he's in WWE. So he's doing great. But the bottom line is if it's all said and done, it looks like he owns a couple of gyms. I don't think he'll ever be a teacher again. He has a lot of stuff going on that he built for himself. But you know what? Worst came to worst, he could be a teacher. So
exactly. Now,
yeah,
I started laughing, and don't take this the wrong way. So when you were saying you had some things going on, you're at the pizzeria working at the bar, it reminded me of this one line in Staying Alive, because I've watched Staying Alive more than anyone in this earth. I'm pretty sure I have. So it's this.
I saw it, but I don't remember any lines from it. It's
when he was talking to the one actress who was supposed to be his girlfriend in the movie, the short girl with the short hair, or whoever, Cynthia something. But it was like, I got to get something going on today. How did you come up with the name Little Guido? And was it in any way, shape, or form offensive? Because I've called Guy Guidos before as a joke, who really were like Brooklyn Italians. Oh, I'm not a Guido. It was just, teasing. Sometimes they take offense to it. Sometimes they don't.
No, I know that because I'm Italian. I never got offended myself, but I know what you're saying because I know people that really did get offended. And some of my friends, I'm like, who gives a shit? They call you Guido. Guido, that means Italian. What's the big deal? But so anyway, the way I got the name Little Guido was when I started with ECW. I started wrestling, as Jasmin St. And then when Tommy Dreamer, I knew Tommy for a while, and he wanted to introduce me to Paul Heyman. So I went up there as Jasmin St, introduced myself to him, and he started letting me work shows as Jasmin St. But as that time was going on, as weeks were going on, he's always like, oh, you remind me of like a Joe Pesci type of guy, small but hot-headed. And he kept saying this. And one day, like 2 or 3 months in, I come into the show, and he goes, you're going to be Little Guido. You're a little weird. You're a little hot-headed, hot-tempered, Joe Pesci. Get out there, get angry, and you're going to be with JT Smith. You're going to be the full-blooded Italians. I was like, okay. And then that was it. That's where the full-blooded Italians began. Now it's ending with Ray Jazz. Started with JT Smith, Tracy Smothers, Tony Mamaluke, tons of other guys. A lot of FBI members.
You've always been the single staple, no matter what. It's always been you.
Yeah, well, and what's funny, and it's not me. Everybody always thinks I started the FBI. That's not true because JT Smith started the FBI. He was the full-blooded Italian by himself. Oh. Then when Paul Lee gave me that name, because I was wrestling as Jasmin St when JT was wrestling as the full-blooded Italian. So then Paul Lee came up with Little Guido and made me and him cousins.
What was your initial opinion, or what were your initial thoughts of Paulie when you met him?
Well, I met Paul a couple times before ECW. I was at that. I met Paul in a Yonkers show one time. I was working for Tommy D, and he brought he was running a show with Todd and Dreamer and Taz, and there was a big mix-up, and Tommy's briefcase got stolen. Not by Paul. I'm just saying this was a big deal. Sandman was there. It was a whole thing. That's actually the first time I met him. And then, back then, like I said, every time I would meet somebody, I used to watch Paul Lee at WCW and stuff like that too. So, I just knew when I first met him, I didn't know till I got to know him in ECW how he was. So I just know the Paul Lee I saw in WCW and stuff like that when I first met him. So, I didn't have an opinion of him back in 1993. Nobody gave him all the nicknames, the genius and the mad scientist. That didn't happen yet. He just left WCW and he just started, with ECW, and this is even before. So, me meeting him, he only lived, and even now I live, I'm in Rockland. Everybody knows he lives in Westchester. But when we were in ECW, I used to go to Tommy Dreamer's house in Yonkers, leave my car there. We would get in the merchandise van. We'd go pick up. Well, get in the merchandise van if we were doing like Boston, New York, somewhere local. We go pick up Paul, who lived 10 minutes away, and we would go to the shows. And then I would hook up then I would go on the road. Paulie and Jimmy would travel again. Then I would jump in other cars with who I usually would travel with. And then we would all come home together. So flying was the same thing. I would go to Dreamers, leave my car there. Dreamer, we take Dreamer's car to pick up Paulie. Then we go to the airport. We all fly into town and stuff like that. So, and then I started work at the ECW merchandise office with Devon and Dreamer. Mm-hmm. So I got to know Paulie, two different sides of him too. I saw that, I don't want to say the normal Paul, but he's like, I saw him down, just normal conversation, not in the mix of things, and 100 people want to talk to him. I've been around him personally, so it's different. It's just different, and we always listen. And you bring up, well, and I'll tell you the truth. People always say, "Hey, he owes you money, he owes everybody money." I said, listen, there's a lot of people that hate him. He did a lot for me. I take him for what he did for me. I can get you hate him, and I understand you hate him, and you have the right to hate him. And I'm not hating you for hating him, but he did right by me. So what am I going to hate him because he did, screw this guy on checks? Or it's not my, you treat people the way they treat you. I'm not happy what happened with you, I guess you're saying, whatever. But, it is what it is. Does he owe me money? No. You know why he don't owe me money? Is because he got me paid for 9 years in the WWE, and he paid me for years in ECW. And yeah, did he miss a few checks on me like everybody else? Yes. But at the end of the day, he also got my job in ECW, and then he was my connection with WWE. That's how I got in there.
People seem to forget that one thing. Like if someone opened the door for you that opened much bigger doors that led to like huge places and huge things, it's sort of like a pay. It's like being paid in a way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So you need somebody to not open the door, point you in the right direction, and unfortunately, there's so many great workers in the world that don't get that opportunity, don't get that person to put them in front of the spotlight, to show what he can do, and unfortunately, that's just because of the business. And it's getting better now as far as places to work. That was the hard thing too when it was just one place to work. So yeah. That's my opinion. And like I said, people have the right to hate him. They could hate him. I don't. I can't.
It was so weird going there because I wasn't sure what to expect when I showed up. I just knew that Paulie was a joker. He was funny. And I thought he was a complete genius, and
what year was that now? What year did you come? 97, 98? I think you were in.
It was like 97, like 98 at Living Dangerously in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And
that was 98 because I wrestled Antifaz Del Norte. It's one of my worst matches. Ask Tommy Dreamer if you ever talk to him.
It was one of your worst. Who says it?
Well, Tom says it, but the fans were saying it too when 5,000 people were chanting boring. It just didn't work, the match. I get what he's saying. He's right. The match sucked. And that was on pay-per-view. That was terrible. There's a lot of miscommunication. Nothing against Antifaz. We actually worked it out, shows later, but it was hard. There was no language barrier with him, and that one took time. But it's all fun. Can't always have a good match.
But now, I don't think the fans always like recognize if something's wrong or if like you missed something, because the person you went over the match with knows, right? But I guess there's some people out there that are what we call them smart marks or something.
That's what they call them. They know. And they want to chant you fucked up sometimes. That's actually part of the show. They wait for somebody to, the guy tried to jump to the top rope and balance, but once he slips, there's their opening to chant, So that's actually part of the show. That's not really, and then it's coming. So before it even starts, you know it's coming. Just like when you do something spectacular, we know where they're going to chant ECW. Miss something that should have been hit, they're going to chant you fucked up. Yeah.
Well, you hope that they don't catch on to it. You hope it's like they just kind of think they might know or whatever. I mean, it's hard to tell. And I remember that when we had ECW, right around that time, we had the whole age of chat rooms and message boards where people were actually hiding behind their keyboards. And,
when it was starting, like 96, 97, 98, right?
Is that when those little things started, when people started becoming keyboard warriors, as I call them? So, yeah, it's like, yeah. And I don't know, like, do you think the internet has hurt wrestling in some way?
I've heard other people answer that same question. I'm not sure. So I know it helped it. I'm sure, it hurt it too in many different ways. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. If you ask me to define what do you mean by hurt? Overexposed it, sometimes, but sometimes that's good because going into like an independent show, it has a lot of buzz and it's because of the internet. So I kind of think that's a good thing. There was never such thing that. It used to be hang a few posters up in the town and hope whoever sees it comes to the show. Now you have guys that are tweeting, I'm going to be on the show. And, so, I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing, for the business. And, I don't know. I'm sure if I sat here and thought there's a few bad things that I'm sure would, if the internet wasn't there, maybe it wouldn't be, I don't know. I really don't have anything to back it up, as far as that it hurt the business. I mean, it exposed results. I mean, go back. Okay. So if you go back to the 90s, oh no, he was doing that on TV. Well, I was going to say when Bischoff was exposed in the results, that was actually on live TV. That wasn't on, I was almost saying, So I don't know. I don't know. It definitely bettered the business in a way. I would think, just by social media and be able to advertise yourself and promote yourself like Zack Ryder did. I think he was the first one to get over on the internet when he was with, I was still with him, I believe, in WWE. And he wanted to push, and he started his internet show there. You remember that or no?
Yeah, I remember the whole thing. I remember that. Then I was also...
That was him. You started him.
Well, he did good, right? But then you think about the whole thing with kayfabe. You know what I mean? And I feel as though
well, that went on down the drain a long time ago. I don't think he was the one that did it. Yeah. But yeah, kayfabe's good. But yeah, that was exposed a while ago. But yeah, and then they would use like the shoot terms, and I think that's what actually got it over. That's what made it funny. I think the wrestlers were laughing at it because we knew what he was talking about, but it's also educating people who maybe didn't know, what that actually was. And other people would say, "Oh, that means blah blah blah." Now they know, but I can't blame Zach for the business being exposed. And you got NWA too. You got NWA out there too. I didn't mention them earlier.
I haven't followed him in like forever. I finally watched like Dark Side of the Ring, like the whole series, the whole every single last episode. It was the weirdest thing. Yeah, it's just, seeing it now versus like when it first came out, or even if I didn't know the business, I don't know if I'd want to be a part of it after you watch something like that,
Yeah, a lot of people, it's a truth of the business. It's not made up. It's just the way that the way it can happen to you. You could, if you let the way, depending on which one you saw, and I'm not going to talk about any of them in specific. Some of them weren't too positive, and I felt bad sometimes. And it was what it was. So
yeah, it was interesting. I think the ones with Eric Bischoff with that whole WCW tour over in North Korea or Japan, it just seemed like political theater with a bunch of wrestlers that shouldn't have been there, that got shoved into some weird political thing. And it just looked dangerous, more than anything else, just for the people.
Which one are you talking about?
It was one with Eric Bischoff. And I think they sent a bunch of wrestlers over to Japan or North Korea to do some shows. And there's just some weird stuff going on. And it was some kind of weird,
I never even heard that.
Thing. Yeah, it was just really weird political thing that went on. It seemed just off and dangerous. And then I watched one with Moolah. I watched everything till the end, including the one on Rob Black, which was...
I didn't see Rob Black. I didn't see Rob Black's actually. And you know why? It won't let me watch it. There's certain ones I can't watch. It won't let me.
You got to pay for the subscription to either Peacock. I have a Roku TV, so I watch everything on Roku.
I got to but there's certain ones they would let me watch, and then certain ones I can't.
Yeah, the good ones you got to pay for. That's the thing.
Yeah, the good ones to pay for. Well, I'll check it out. I'm going to watch that one.
Like
I got a few others. I've been watching The Rivals too.
Yeah.
And those are good too. And some of those are also sad stories. Like, I grew up watching Jake the Snake, but obviously if you watch it, that's, it is a sad ride. It's a great ride, but it's a sad ride. But then when I watched Jerry Lawler's, it was different. It was all, it was a good, happy story, and Jake's a happy story too now. I'm glad he's doing good, but it seems like he had it rough, for years, battle, addictions and all that stuff, obviously. But I was a big fan of him, but I'm just saying some of them, I feel for some of the guys, I hate to see that, but I like Jerry Lawler's too. That was very inspiring and stuff like that. So the majority of them are good, but sometimes some of them, it's you take it to heart because you love the guys, you don't want to see that happen to people like that, and it's too late because it's over. Once the back comes out, it already happened, and I'm glad the guys are doing good. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting time that we're in right now in wrestling. I mean, I think cancel culture has definitely played a role. in so many things, not happening or just being kiboshed. And then the other things, what do you think is missing mostly in wrestling these days? Some people feel it's like the wrestlers are a lot different. They don't look like men, or missing characters. Like, everyone's answer is different on that one.
I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what it's missing. Wrestling's always changing. I mean, it's changed to a lot smaller guys everywhere, as you could see. It's not like it used to be 20 years ago. Even when I was there, you had Undertaker, you had Big Show, you had big guys. I don't know, well, you got Braun Strowman's there. You still got a couple of big guys, but all of them. And then you got some bigger, muscular guys. But I don't know. I don't know what it's missing. There's so much wrestling out there. Whatever you get out of one promotion, you get more of this than this, and watching all the different promotions. So I don't really have. That's something I would have to think about. I hate giving answers just to give one, and then it runs into me not making sense because I'm not really understanding what I'm saying. So I don't know on top of my head.
No, but I get what you're saying. And I think the last time you and I worked together, we were in England, and then and I saw you at a bunch of the conventions and everything. What would you say?
Yeah, you managed me, didn't you? Or you managed me?
I managed you in London.
Me in London, right? Okay. London, I was going to say, I thought it was me.
It was.
Did you know that? Yeah, huh? You managed. Yeah, did you know Meanie at that time?
If I knew him at the time, I knew him, but he wasn't there.
Yeah, he wasn't there. Okay. So you guys
be there. So he couldn't be there on his own. It was something with his thing, whatever. I don't know what happened. So
right, I remember something you said. Something was supposed to come up. Yeah, I remember that. Well, how many years ago was that?
That was like, I would say 2004 or like 2002.
2002, and that's that was after ECW, and I went to WWE in October 2002. So it was that same year. So obviously it had to be before. Once I went there.
It'd be probably the summertime around then, 2001, 2002. Do you ever hope that you get back to the WWE ever again? Like, would that be something you would do again? Be on TV like that?
To wrestle? I don't think I could. I don't think I could go wrestle there full time. No. I think you meant in different positions. I would never say no. It all depends on what it is. As far as a full-time wrestler, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't bear to do that. And I don't think they would ask me to do that. And I don't think I would. I would. I have a lot going on here, and I'm doing well. And for me to give that up, because there's no guarantees, and that's just the way it is. I can go there, and it took me 10 years to do what I'm doing and build everything up. For me to give that away, and then God forbid after a year they don't want to use me anymore, and now I'm back to square one. Nothing against them, but that's it's a business. I know the way it is. Different type of jobs is different capacity. I'm not saying wrestling, but so would I ever go? But yeah, the position had to be right, the money had to be right. And, I would go anywhere. It doesn't matter. So never. I don't want to say the old slogan, never say never. No reason.
Yeah, we always say that.
I don't have any intentions at the moment.
Okay. Well, you never know what happens, but I could see you. I could still see you. I keep going back to the movie Grease for some reason, or like Staying Alive. I could see you as like.
Well, I used to come out Staying Alive. I used to come out, right? In ECW.
I remember Staying Alive. But I could see you in like a movie Grease. Like, if there was ever a really good reboot, if you was the high school coach.
Well, I would. You know what? I hope somebody's listening. I know you got a lot of people out there listening. They want to cast me in a movie. I have a little experience. So,
you have a lot, but yeah, I think you'd be perfect for something like that. But yeah. So what else do you have coming up soon? Do you have any signings? I know that you do a lot of the signings. Yeah, the autograph conventions. What are you doing these days?
Yeah, I do. I don't have any signings coming up. I am off this weekend. Next week I have we have a show up in the Palisades Mall. Not far from me. It's right in the Palisades Mall up in Congress, New York. We got MLW has a show coming up in July. So I'm, not sure I'm on it yet. We'll see if they invite me. I'll be there. So that's all new. And then that's really it. I got some independent shows. I don't have them on the top of my head. I would have to go look. But I got nothing, just keep it busy. That's all I got. Follow me on Instagram. I know you said you're going to plug it for me.
Of course I would. So if people do want to start following you and seeing where you're going, how do they look at, like, what's your tag on Instagram, Twitter? Do you do Facebook even?
No Facebook, but Instagram is Nunzio _Guido. And the same thing with Twitter. Same thing. Nunzio_Guido. So Nunzio first, /then Guido. That's all I have. I don't have Facebook.
I don't blame you. Facebook's like really a pain anyway to like keep up with.
I'm struggling when I keep up with Instagram. But tell you the truth, I do like it. I like it. I like to look around, see what people are doing, and some personal stuff is good too. Everybody has their own lives and stuff like that. It's nice to see what people are doing, especially people I like. So
yeah.
It was great catching up with you.
You too.
I'm glad
more than great catching up with you. Thank you so much for everything, and I hope I get to see you soon.
Yes, see you down the line. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye. Take care.
Take care.